In this video, we are talking about question number 13 on the Geometry Arizona Merit Test. And if you have that in front of you, you know, there's a question that's very much like this in the textbook. I don't know if we have gone over it yet or not. But anyway, this question says this: Jeremy is building a separate garage, as shown. He wants the roof height to be between 3.5 and 5 feet tall. Right there, he wants that to be anywhere from 3.5 to 5 feet. He must decide the angle measure to use for the pitch or the slant of the roof when the slant height is D. All right, so here's D. And this can be anywhere from 3.5 to 5 feet tall. But guys, do you understand that, let's say it goes up here a little bit taller. Do you see that see what happens to the angle? It goes up. You know what I mean? So between 3 feet and 5 feet, there's going to be some differences. All right, there's a couple of ways to do these problems. And it says, which inequality can Jeremy use to ensure that his roof will be within the necessary height range? Well, I think the best way to approach this problem is to just do it ourselves and then find the answer here, because you're not going to be able to just look at this and say, well, So let's go ahead and do the problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this roof right here. Oops. And we're going to pretend that the height right here is 3.5. Let's say this height is 3.5, okay? Oh, by the way, they said on here, they give us one more thing. They say that the distance all the way across here is 30. Well, then how much, excuse me, how much is half of it? It's just 15. Do you see that? He wants to know what should that be. Then on the next one, it's going to be, a little bit bigger. Right? But this is still 15, and this is still, well, this is not, this is 5 feet here, and now this angle is going to be different, okay? All right, how do I find that angle? How do you find that angle? All right. We're given two sides, so when we use our Trig's functions, our sine function, our trigonomic functions, we're trying to find an angle. So do you remember that we have to use the second function of the trig ratios? So when I push, tangent or sine or cosine, I have to push second because I'm trying to figure out degrees. Okay, so I have to figure out degrees. So what would I do to find that? Well, I don't have the hypotenuse. So I can't use the sine or the cosine because both sine and cosine have hypotenuse. So I know that I'm going to use the tangent function. Okay, so here's what I do. I say the tangent of I don't know what, the tangent of that equals what? What is the tangent equal? Tan is what? Tan is TOA, T-O-A, opposite over adjacent. Well, isn't tangent then the tangent of x? What is the opposite? What's the opposite of this angle? 3.5. 3.5 over what? Over 15. Right? 3.5 over 15. So I could just solve that, but so I'm going to take a little look at my answers because I don't really have to solve this. I mean, I could, but that's not the way it is. See, the answers are given something like this. Okay? All right. Now, how do I find how do I find this new one? Well, again, I'm going to have to use the tangent. Do you understand this? The tangent, again, is going to be opposite over adjacent. And the tangent of x is going to be what? What's the opposite of this? It's going to be 5 over what? The adjacent angle is 15. Well, there you go. That's the answer. So the tangent, it's got to be, it's got to be less. The x has to be in between here. So x is going to be between the tangent of 3.5 divided by 15, and it's going to be between the tangent of 5 divided by 15, and it's going to have to be, it's going to have to be the second one, because it's got to be less than this. It's got to be between these two things. So it's got to be greater than this or equal to. So this can be greater. The tangent is going to be less than or equal to this, and it's going to be greater, or it has to be less than this and greater than that. Okay? In any case, it's letter B. You see? And right off the bat, you should have known that it's not the sine, because the sine has to use the hypotenuse. So you could have crossed those off right away. And it's not over 30 because you're only using half of it. So there you go. You might have been able to just look at this and guess but you had to know that it was the tangent. So you had to do some work to make sure that you didn't use the sine.